Good Erev Shabbos, everyone. Happy Chodesh Nissan. Beautiful day here today in Yerushalayim. And also this week is Shabbos Parsha Vayikra. We start the new Sefer, and we say the Nasi. Today's Beis Nissan, the yahrzeit of the Rebbe Rashab. So Mamash a lot coming together. Share a word that we learned this morning, together with the aside of one of the ideas that the Rebbe teaches us and the Alter Rebbe talks about in the Kutei Torah Parshas Vayikra, that we know that this week is very unique, because a lot of times we experience things that we learned about in the Torah that are connected to other days. For instance, we read about Matan Torah in the order of the Torah sometime in the winter or late winter, and the receiving of the Torah happens in Sivan, and etc. We find different times that we read things that are not directly connected to the date. Today, this week's Parshas Vayikra, we know Vayikra was when did Hashem call Moshe? So we finished the Parsha last week, and we finished Shmos, that after they built the Mishkan on the first day of Nissan, and after the 7 days of dedication on the Yom HaShmini, the cloud, the Anan, comes down on the Mishkan, and Moshe can't enter the Mishkan because of the presence of Hashem. And starts this week's Parsha, Vayikra Moshe, that Moshe is called to go into the Mishkan on the day of the 8th day of the dedication of the Mishkan, which is the first of Nissan. The first of Nissan falls out this week on Thursday, so it's mamish connected. We're living the times now of the Parsha, and it's happening on the first day of Nissan, the day that we dedicate the Mishkan. And the Alter Rebbe talks about Vayikra, that doesn't say who calls Moshe. Moshe comes in, and the Moshe Rabbeinu is empowered from Hashem's calling him, like it says that the angels v'kora zeh zeh, the angels call each other. The idea is not just to get attention, the idea is by calling someone, like you call Hashem, the angels call each other, and by calling them, it brings them and elevates them and makes them able to accept each other. And so too it says when a person learns Torah, it's a kara bar Kadosh Baruch Hu, you're calling a Kadosh Baruch Hu, you're bringing Hashem down into this world by learning Torah, similar to Moshe Rabbeinu being called and entering in to the Mishkan. And we learned that what does he learn about in the Mishkan? Adam ki akriv mikem. That a person has to, want to really get close, you have to first sacrifice from yourself, and then you have to find the inner behema, the animal within you, and take that and sacrifice that to Hashem. But also, Chodesh Nissan, we're following the month of Adar. And this week, actually, Shabbos, like the Rebbe says, we have both days of Nissan and days of Adar. And by Shabbos, that elevates, like we said last week, elevates the whole week. We're elevating a combination of Adar and Nissan. And Adar is the miracle of Purim, and Nissan is the miracle of redemption, of absolute miracles of the Yetzias Mitzrayim, of leaving Mitzrayim, of leaving Egypt. So to connect the energy of Purim into Nissan, the Rebbe says an amazing idea, that we know that we have Tishrei, and Tishrei is the time of Tshuva, and also the time that we celebrate the actual creation of the world, and it's a recognition of the laws of nature and how Hashem operates within the laws of nature. Hashem is not defined by nature, and everything has an absolute hashgacha pratis. Everything has exact divine connection and a divine interference constantly. How Hashem is watching us, but it's within laws of nature, and therefore a person could go their whole life and think that their life is just natural, and not recognizing the miracles or the double miracles that are happening in their life all the time. And then you have the month of Nissan, where where 600,000 strong men and women and children are held captive in a society that's impossible to get out of. And nevertheless, God breaks the laws of nature, and the Jewish people leave Egypt in a miraculous way. So how does a person go from living a life that has a very natural, everything feels like it's in the laws of nature, and a person's avodas Hashem is to find God's hashgacha, God's watching within every detail, and go from there to a mindset of Nisan, of absolute redemption. And the connection of the two is Purim. Like we spoke about a few weeks ago, that Purim is a holiday, is a Yom Tov, where although it was an amazing miracle, the Jews faced absolute destruction, but the miracle was enclosed in nature in such a way, but the Jews were able to actually see, and they did see, and they recognized the miracle of Purim. And like we spoke a few weeks ago, that gives energy to find and recognize the miracles we have in our life. But then we take that and we go a little further, and we go into Nisan. That not just that we have to be mispain and contemplate and find the miracles within nature, we have to get out of that mindset of the limitations and be a person that's actually living Geula, living redemption, living the levels of godliness, of revelation that's beyond nature. that when you wake up in the morning, you're not happy so much for the natural events of things and recognizing Hashem's hand. You see it as an amazing day to achieve great things. You see the liberation you have specifically for every single individual day. And when you elevate all your days together, so you brings together Nissan, Adar, and Tishrei, making our whole life that we penetrate and we override the limitations of nature with the energy of the miracles of Nissan. So I want to wish everyone good Shabbos, a Geula Dika Shabbos. We're in the month of Geula. We should find inner redemption to the ultimate redemption, Mashiach B'kar Mamish. Good Shabbos.